Hey guys, want to show your support to the channel and get some awesome rewards at the same time? Then go check out my Patreon page where at whatever tier you choose that fits your budget, you'll get plenty of rewards such as updates and announcements on the regular, exclusive sneak peeks of my videos before they go up online, get yourself credited, and receive a special shout out at the end of my videos and more. Go to patreon.com/AckleyAttack44227TV to start pledging today. And don't forget to also check out and consider gifting me any items I have listed on my Amazon wishlist and even supporting me on my Streamlabs tipping page that'll also help support the channel directly. Links are in the description box below as well as on my link tree for you to check out. Thank you and enjoy today's video. Take care. Hey guys, like what we do on our channel and want to see more videos from us? Then not to worry about a thing. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as turning on the notification bell so that way you can see more of our videos coming up very soon. Thank you and enjoy today's video. Hey folks, I'm officially going to be going to Kinshoku-Con, taking place at the Doubletree by Hilton up in Niagara Falls, New York from November 14th through the 16th. I'm going to be there for the weekend and I'll not only be cosplaying as Tamaki from Orang High School Host Club on Friday, my ballerina version of Ruby Rose from Ruby on Saturday, and Ash Ketchum in his Kalos outfit from Pokemon for a little bit on Sunday, but I'm also going to be hosting my brand new panel, How to Become a YouTuber, on Friday, November 14th at 8 p.m. at the Con's Panel Room. More information can be found at kinshokukon.com as well as on their social media platforms. So if you see me there all weekend, then by all means, come on up to me and say hi. Hope to see you there. Hey guys, this is AckleyAttack4427 here with a very special video for all of you guys. Well, with this being the month of October, looks like Halloween is coming up as we speak, and boy, you know what I mean by that. Yep, whether it be getting your kids into such cute and fantastic costumes to go out trick-or-treating, to going out to your local pumpkin patch to pick out a really nice pumpkin to create a nice jack-o'-lantern, attending costume parties, putting up your decorations, getting lost in a core maze, exploring a haunted house to find some ghosts, just to name a few, Halloween is always the best time during this month for anyone of any age. Though, like everyone else, I'm more of a Christmas type of person, but that's a whole other story. And you know what else is a great time during this Halloween? Well, if you're a movie buff like I am, then it's also a great time for plenty of scary movies to put on. And why shouldn't we? Ranging from some of the good old classic Halloween specials we watch whenever they air on TV to get us into the Halloween spirit, to some well-known horror movies, both old and new, about ready to give us plenty of scares, with a good amount of blood and gore in addition. There's plenty of movies and specials to watch during this time to really get us in a creepy mood this Halloween. And whichever you prefer during this time of year, they're always guaranteed to get us scared in the best possible way. So, given to all of that, I know it's been a long time coming, and well, I wish I would have gotten this done much earlier, but I must have gotten lazy with other things, and I had other video projects to work on in the meantime, so I'm so sorry about that. But hey, I figure I would probably do it right now as we speak, and well, I figure I would talk about one certain movie that popped up some time ago, or I guess in this case, pretty much well over half a decade ago, to be honest, that deserves to be talked about during this time. And that being, of course, on a certain family-friendly movie from earlier this decade that goes by the name of The Witches. Oh yeah, I know it's been a long time coming, but I think it's time to get right into this. The Witches, released all the way back in the cursed year of 2020 and based on the iconic book of the same name from well-known children's author Roald Dahl, to which, if you're familiar with him, also put together other well-known books that he put together such as Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, just to name a few. The original book, much like all of Dahl's other work, has become a massive staple since its debut. Although back then, the reception of the original book was rather mixed, with many people calling it out for being misogynistic. My god, what a strange time back then. What could possibly be worse? Oh wait! But regardless, the original Witches book was a big success upon its release, with it being upon one of many in the lineup of Dahl's work being the most well-known. So, given to the book's kinda sort of success, whichever you call it, you bet there is a good number of adaptations following afterwards, and boy, there's a lot out there. These can range from a 2-part radio adaptation on BBC Radio 4 in 2008 to a few number of audiobooks and even a stage play, an opera, and a musical? Okay then. But when it comes to a proper adaptation of The Witches, the most notable one would have to be, obviously enough, the film adaptation of it released back in 1990. Released by Warner Brothers and starring Angelica Houston and Rowan Atkinson and directed by Nicholas Roeg, with plenty of puppetry work done by Jim Henson, the latter of which is done as one of his last projects he worked on before his passing, especially with help during his Creature Shop during the time. For while it wasn't a big hit at the box office upon its release, it still scored big with critics and audiences and gained a cult following over the years, with many people calling it a cult classic. Despite Dahl not being a big fan of it back then, but hey, then again, this is the same guy who didn't like the original Willy Wonka back then, so it's not a big surprise by far. But still, the film itself is the one we all know and love when it comes to a proper film adaptation of the original Witches book. So given to all of that, and given to how the film has changed nowadays compared to all the way back then, it seems fair to put together a new film adaptation for a modern day audience. That is where the 2020 film adaptation comes into play. For the case of this film, this has been in the works for a long while, going all the way back in 2008, with it originally going to be done as a stop-motion animated film done by Guillermo del Toro. It changed course around 2018, with Robert Zemeckis stepping in to direct the film, with the script written by Zemeckis alongside not just del Toro, but also with Kenya Barris. The film was originally supposed to be released on the big screen around October of 2020, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic occurring, especially during the cursed year that I've mentioned that is 2020, amongst plenty of other events that happened that year, and I can name tons of people to blame for it.
Thanks, asshole. Then you.
But anyways, due to the pandemic causing many places to close down, especially movie theaters, Warner Brothers decided to pull it out of its original theatrical release and release it on October the 22nd of 2020 on their streaming platform HBO Max, making it the 9th most watched straight-to-streaming title of 2020 according to Variety, and even getting released onto DVD and Blu-ray afterwards, just nearly 2 years later. But anyways, given to all of that, when it first came out, critical reception has been mostly mixed, with many people saying that it's inferring to what made the 1990 version a great movie. And for while it would be nice to compare and contrast, I felt instead to mainly talk about the 2020 version on its own and see how it holds up. And given for the fact that I needed to do a little something for a Halloween video to give to all of you guys, to which, yeah, I did originally want this to be the first of a two-parter for my Halloween video by far, but I guess pretty much of anything I kind of ran out of time to be honest, and well, I'm so sorry about that, folks, but don't worry, I'll probably save part 2 for maybe some point around next year, if I am lucky enough to get it done. But we shall wait and see what happens. But anyways, going back on topic, I figure it will be an interesting one to check out. I can't guarantee that, as I know there be many, and I do mean many, aspects in this movie that I would probably nitpick at. But hey, I should expect that given to the amount of bad movies I've seen over the years. And I do mean quite a whole lot of them. I mean, if you have seen my thoughts videos over the years, you would definitely see what I mean. So yeah. But of course, that would lead to the ultimate question. How does The Witches 2020 fare up on its own and hold a place in this creepy time of year? Well, I wouldn't know, but maybe I think the movie will actually pretty much give us a proper answer to that. So with that being said, hold on to your rap traps and, well, let's take a deep dive into it.
Now, if you're familiar to how the original book is played out, let alone understand the changes and difference the 1990 version played out, the story in this movie is pretty much similar to how it's played out. The plot centers around a young kid named Charlie Henson living with his grandmother, played by Octavia Spencer, after his parents died. Gee, I wonder where I've heard that trope in a Roald Dahl story before. While living a normal life as usual. But that all changed as one day, during a visit to a hotel, they encounter a group of witches, with their leader being named the Grand High Witch, played by Anne Hathaway, who plot to rid the world of children by turning them into mice and rats, with Charlie alongside another kid named Bruno, who just tagged along for some reason, being their first targets. So now it's up to them to stop all of the witches and foil their plans before they succeed in their plan to, you guessed it, take over the world.
Of course!
Yeah, I guess you've seen that coming based on what I've just said, but that's what I can say, of course, that front. So yeah, given to all of that, the plot for this movie does play out like on how the book was played out by far, similar to how the original movie did.
Given to what this movie is providing, it does have a lot of great potential and provides some moments that are interesting enough to make it such an incredible time. However, the one thing this movie did which prevents from any of that is that the writing for this movie is pretty much off. It feels like it's way too simplified in what it has to give to us, and it seems like it's more of a rundown draft of what it has to give without any revisions needed, given to the cracks that it's showing in many different areas. Again, I do like what it has going for in what it's giving to us in showcasing their own take on what the original book is providing, but this is the kind of writing that just doesn't fit in with the idea of a movie on Roald Dahl's The Witches, and is way too out of place with what it has provided. Even the story, I have to say, I do think that too alone has a lot of great potential to do its own thing, but it still feels run down without having any identity it's trying to showcase. Almost like it's what the people making this movie thinks of what makes the original book great, without having any understanding on why in the first place.
So yeah, I can easily tell that on paper, this movie has a lot going for to make it a great movie. But however, the cracks that shows in a good number of areas from what I've actually seen by far, back when I first viewed it, the execution on this movie is not done properly from what I can gather. But trust me, this is far from the only reasons on why that is exactly, with another reason being the director of the film himself, well, Robert Zemeckis.
Now, if you are familiar with all of his past works, you know that Robert Zemeckis has put together such great movies during his career, with his most notable ones he did, such as Forrest Gump and Castaway, especially both the Back to the Future trilogy and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. All of these movies show that Zemeckis has a lot of creativity and talent when it comes to his directing, and even nowadays, it does show. However, for the case of this movie, I don't see any of that from him. I just felt that his direction in this movie does feel off and is way too muddled down from what I can gather, and I don't think he has a whole lot to put into any sort of effort to make this one work. But probably the one thing that I can say about what makes this movie not work in terms of the sake of Zemeckis is that rather than trying to make both the story and the characters to make them more interesting, he instead tries to rely more on making the visual effects look good on screen. How do I mean by this? Well, the answer is quite simple. Taking some of the past works from Zemeckis out of the equation, he's been at a phase where he has to rely on CGI for many of his visual effects in his movies nowadays. Even when he got his hands at the whole motion capture technology, which didn't help in capturing the same magic as his other works. Sure, there are a few exceptions, like say The Polar Express, to which, don't get me wrong, I still like that said film on its own, amongst plenty of others who would think so as well. But that's pretty much what he's been relying on with most of his films nowadays. Even after his animation studio closed down, he still wants to rely more on making more of those motion capture style animated films he wanted to make. Which shows in not just this film, but also with Welcome to Marwin a couple years before, and roughly 2 years later with Disney's live-action remake of Pinocchio. And trust me, I do not want to go down that road with this piece of crap again. So given to what I mentioned, it would give you the idea on how I felt about the visual style in this movie. Not to mention on how the CGI in this is way too off and feels way too rubbery and not rendered out quite well. Almost feeling like I'm watching a bad Saturday morning cartoon. Which is another massive problem given to Zemeckis in trying to make the visuals look realistic so badly. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of films that does try to make the visuals realistic, but it doesn't show in the case of this film from what I can gather. Almost to the point where it can range from uncanny in some parts, to even some parts where they're supposed to be creepy, but not in the best possible way, but the kind of creepy where you just want to turn your screen to put on something else to get away on how bad it looks. Even with the amount of detail, it's just way too much to notice, and I felt they could have taken it down a notch.
But of course, taking that out of the way, I figured that I need to also address the elephant in the room in what this movie is so lackluster in the first place. And that being the amount of controversy it's gotten during the time of its release. And no, I don't mean like Ghostbusters 2016 levels of controversy by far, but I think you'll definitely see what I mean once we delve into it, so here we go.
Yeah, aside from many people in where they criticize this movie for amongst plenty of others, this movie has also put itself under massive public fire with what it's presenting. And that will come in how the witches themselves look in the film. Given to what I mentioned earlier about the visuals and the effects, this movie has been falling under heat specifically from many people, including former TV anchor Bree Walker and her daughter, for demonizing people with a certain disability condition known only as also known as split hand. And well, I do see where they're coming from, because looking over them, especially their hands, I really don't think it's the best design they went with for this one. It doesn't make them terrifying nor even frightening when you witness them, but rather instead makes you feel rather uncomfortable and not really want to be anywhere near them, even on several occasions. And still, going back to the 1990 version with the way the witches themselves are designed, there is a lot of effort being put into how they look and how creepy they are, so that way you do feel intimidated by them when they pop up on screen. So at least there's a reason for them being creeped out by them. But for this movie, I don't see any of that from them whatsoever. Aside from one or two little details being put in, I do understand on why it was falling under heat given to what it's presented. And as someone who's been diagnosed with high-functioning autism for many years now, I don't think I'll get a whole lot from what I'm seeing, and I felt they deserve better.
Alright, I think I've went on with everything wrong about this movie and why it doesn't work in a good number of areas. But I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, is there anything in this movie that I find to be good in, of course, this one? Actually, yes. Yes, there is. There's quite a lot to mention for this case. And, of course, this movie, despite, of course, some massive issues that I actually does have some really good stuff in it that I really do think works quite well.
For one thing that I should mention in regards to this movie, I do find that the acting is actually pretty good from a good number of the film's cast. Sure, they had to work around the crap material that's been given to them, but every once in a while in a terrible project, there can be some good acting that shows that they are trying with what they're doing. And it does show in this movie. For one thing, Octavia Spencer as Grandma Agatha, I do find to be quite the massive standout in this movie, and I do admire on what she has to bring to the table for this movie. Sure, it may not be the strongest from her given to her film career amongst plenty of others, but I do felt that she does have a whole lot, and she portrayed her quite well. Also, with the good amount of development given to her character, does make me want to root for her all the way. Even the relationship between her and Charlie is actually one that I do think connected quite well. The way I see those two on screen is done well, and I do admire on what they were going for. Not just that, but Anne Hathaway, I have to say, is also a nice standout to me in playing the Grand High Witch. And again, for while I can't say her acting is by all means fantastic, is still nicely done, and I do admire on what she has to throw her hat into the ring to make this movie work, and she did portray the role quite well. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it doesn't help that given to her performance alone, it did land her a nomination at the Golden Raspberry Awards for this and The Last Thing He Wanted, but thankfully lost to Kate Hudson for her performance in the Sia-directed film, Music, to which...
Yeah, I'm not gonna go that route with that film, I mean just... Jesus! And yeah, don't you dare ask me to review this one. I knew it was crap, to be honest, for sure. And, well, as someone who's been diagnosed with high-functioning autism throughout his entire life, I am clearly offended on what this movie is actually given to us. But taking that out of the equation, back to this movie.
But hey, I can't blame Hathaway for what she's got for this movie, and I do think she did a fine enough job in playing the main villain quite well. It's not great, but her performance shows that she's trying and is giving off a good enough performance to me that I do think works quite well.
I'll even say the rest of the cast is also nice. And I really do mean that in saying that this movie has provided some pretty good casting.
Aside from the two I've mentioned, the rest of the casting they did is also done very well with a good sense of diversity in it that I do think fits in well with this movie. Like the kid who played Charlie is by all means done great, and I love his performance both as a human and as a mouse, which I do felt works well to his advantage in this movie. Not only that, but I am also impressed on how a much older version of him, voiced by Chris Rock, also works quite well, and I do admire his commitment in this, which is quite fitting that helps flow the film's lackluster story to a T. Even Stanley Tucci as the hotel manager, I do felt is also not that bad, and I do admire his commitment to trying to make his performance in this movie work in being snoggy and stirring at the same time. Sure, it's not something to write home about, but again, it does show that he is trying, and I do like on what he has provided. But by far, the one actor in this movie I do think works quite well to me would have to be Daisy, played here by Kristen Chenoweth. I do find her character in this movie to be, quite frankly, more interesting to me, and having it mixed in with a very clever backstory given to her, I do have a strong connection with her and do have a good reason to join Charlie and Bruno in stopping the witches in the first place. Those are the kind of characters that I do think work quite well to me, if you catch my drift. We've rarely seen characters like these done well in movies like this, and I do like it when movies provide them into their stories. Not just that, but given for the fact that it wanted to serve as a much more family-friendly version of a horror movie, I do think this movie actually provided some pretty decent atmosphere that I do think is done, not perfect, but still done pretty fine on my part. Having it set in 1960s Alabama rather than both England and Norway in the 1980s, for while I don't think fits in well, does provide in what Zemeckis stated in trying to be closer to the original book rather than what the 1990 version did. Which I do get, and I do think for while it hardly works with its time setting, I do think it does try to make it work, and I'll give it credit for. But hey, if you want to go for something different with your own take on the original source material, of course you could go for something different. Even the lighthearted moments as well to also be done pretty well, and I think they have a lot going for to make it more upbeat to help ease everything from the lack of creepy and scary moments here and there, which I do find fascinating. Sure, it may not be a massive standout all the way, but I do like what they were going for regardless on all of that.
So yeah, given to all of that, I think it would show on some parts of this movie that I do think it actually does pretty well from what I can gather, and I'm quite impressed with what it's been given. Sure, it may not be enough to win me over on, of course, this movie, to which I guess is the best way to describe this one in a nutshell.
So yeah, given to all of that, it would show on how I felt about this movie. Overall, the 2020 Witches movie I do think is a mixed bag on my part. As a movie on its own, I do felt that it is very lackluster and doesn't have any ideas on what it was trying to go for, and is another one of the weaker films that Robert Zemeckis has put together. But as an adaptation of the Witches book as a whole, it does have a lot to go for to make it great, and the few moments where it does work is done well. But the rest just doesn't work out for me, and I couldn't find myself hooked onto this one, and I'd much rather put something else on that is 10 times better to watch than this. Let alone any movies and specials in the similar style of what this movie is trying to go for that are far better to watch than this. But it's not all bad all the way to me, as I do like the acting in this, and well, if it was worked out even more and even revised in a good number of areas, I think this could have been a much better movie to watch. But regardless, given to what we got now, it's what you would expect alone. So, given to all of that, the 1990 Witches movie, to me, is a much better movie to check out if you want to experience the original Roald Dahl book done right as a movie. That film alone knew what it was doing and knows what it was going for on its own, and given to that, it does deserve the cult following and is the more superior movie to check out amongst many of other movies based on Dahl's books out there, both old and new. But hey, I can't deny anyone liking this version for what it is, because if it is something you put on and enjoy just fine, then I can't blame you in the slightest, and that's okay in my books. If you want to check this one out, then I won't stop you anyway. Sadly, as of now, the film is no longer available on HBO Max by the time this video is up, but however, you can still pick it up on DVD and Blu-ray as a clever alternative. And as someone who doesn't currently have an HBO Max subscription but absolutely love collecting physical media, I say this is a big help on my part. So if you're looking for something that you can put on and admire during this creepy time of year, then this movie is a harmless one to check out. But if you're looking for something that captures the love and spirit of the original book, I'll just put on the 1990 version instead. That's really all I can say in that matter.
So with that being said, that's what I can say about this one for this video. So yeah, and I I think it will be a good way to wrapping up here and there. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I want to ask, what do you think of the 2020 Witches movie? Do you like it, hate it, or somewhere in between with, of course, this one? So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and well, I guess it has been a long time coming, and well, I wish I could have gotten this done 3 years earlier, since after I first watched it. But hey, I'm glad I got to do it right now, for sure, and I'm doing it for all of you guys. So yeah, and I do hope to get out more videos like this anytime in the near future, for sure. So yeah, thank you guys. I guess yeah, I pretty much messed up the line, so I'll start over. So with that being said, I think that's pretty much all I can say about this one for this video. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, of course, that front. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I want to ask, what do you think of the 2020 Witches movie? Do you like it, hate it, or somewhere in between with, of course, this one? So yeah, let me know down in the comments down below. I'm quite curious to see on what you guys think. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and yeah, it has been a long time coming to finally make this video, as well. I wish I would have gotten this done 3 years earlier, since after I finished watching this movie by far. But hey, I'm glad I got it up right now, and I did it for all of you guys. So yeah, and I do hope to get out more videos like this somewhere around in the near future, but we're gonna have to wait and see on that. So yeah, but until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video, and well, hope you guys have a happy Halloween. Now, if you'll excuse me, yeah, now that I finally got this video done after so long, I think I definitely need to think about what I'll talk about for next year. What could be quite interesting? Oh, wait. Are those my Blu-ray copies of all of the Final Destination movies? Well, I guess I might have a little something to work on for Halloween next year, for sure. So yeah. Gonna be quite interesting to go over these movies by far, but hey, as long as, of course, I'll be fully prepared for Halloween next year, for sure. I think I'll be in good hands. So yeah, I'll definitely leave you at that. So yeah, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll not only see you in the next video, but I hope all of you guys have a really great Halloween. Take care.
Special thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon for making today's video possible, including my top tier supporters for this month, VD. So if you want to be like these guys and show your support to us, then go to patreon.com/AckleyTackTV to pledge now, do so, and get some awesome rewards within your budget. Hey guys, this is AckleyTack4427 here. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Feel free to like, comment, and share if you enjoy what you're seeing. If you like what you see here and want to see more videos coming up, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and switch on the notification bell to get notifications, and select all notifications to be notified for when we post a new video. And don't forget to switch on notifications on your phone as well. Also, don't forget to check out my second channel and our 2-member channel with Sam the Thomas Fan 1, SamAttack4427TheThomasFan1 Productions, for plenty more content you can't find on here. You can check both of our channels out with the links or by our handles provided on screen. Feel free to shoot me an email with my email address provided, backley95@hotmail.com, if you want to ask me a question, want to collab with me for a project you've got in the works, or if you want to book me to be featured for a convention coming up. Follow me on my social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with me on updates, announcements, and new releases of my videos, as well as plenty of others I've got with my handles provided, as well as the links down in the description box below. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok for other videos I've got aside from the ones I've posted on YouTube, and on Twitch for any future live streams I've got coming up soon, as well as join our official Discord server to see what we've provided. If you wish to show your support to me, then feel free to check out my Patreon to get sneak peeks of my videos coming up before they go up online, as well as getting access to updates and playing more, in addition to getting some awesome rewards within your budget. Also, don't forget to check out and show your support to me on my wishlist on Amazon, and even supporting me at streamlabs.com/AckleyTACTV/tip that you can find in the description box below, as well as on my Twitch page. And in case you can't find any of the links that are provided, then not to worry about a thing. All the links and stuff are also provided on my link tree that you can also find in the description box below, as well as a few selected number of my social media pages. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Take care.